So welcome back to the afternoon session. This is just a review of the Sadhana. So, in the evening, there's the very extensive presentation. Now we're just sort of reviewing each section of the Sadhana. I think by tomorrow, we can start actually just doing the Sadhana completely. But for right now, I thought it was important in a simple way to go through each part of the Sadhana. So again, we should start with the refuge. If we follow Ngotru Dhamma Bhadra's presentation, you just have Buddha Vajra Dharma in front of you. In the Sadhana, of course, it says Hiruka Chakra Sambhara and Vajra Yogini. Whatever suits your mind. I talked about that in the previous section too. So, in the space before me stands Guru Chakra Sambhara and Vajra Yogini in union, surrounded by a host of root and lineage gurus, Yidams, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dakas, and Dharma protectors. I, in the infinite space of all beings, take refuge in the glorious Gurus. From this moment until we reach enlightenment, we take refuge in the perfect Buddhas. We take refuge in the Dharma. We take refuge in the Sangha. I, in the infinite space of all beings, take refuge in the glorious Gurus. From this moment until we reach enlightenment, we take refuge in the perfect Buddhas. We take refuge in the Dharma. We take refuge in the Sangha. I, in the infinite space of all beings, take refuge in the glorious Gurus. From this moment until we reach enlightenment, we take refuge in the perfect Buddhas. We take refuge in the Dharma. We take refuge in the Sangha. Upon attaining the supreme realization of a Buddha, I shall free all beings from the endless world of suffering. I shall deliver them to the bliss of enlightenment. For that may I practice the stages of Vajra Yogini's path. Upon attaining the supreme realization of a Buddha, I shall free all beings from the endless ocean of suffering, and shall deliver them to the bliss of enlightenment. For that may I practice the stages of Vajra Yogini's path. Upon attaining the supreme realization of a Buddha, I shall free all beings from the endless round of suffering, and shall deliver them to the bliss of enlightenment. For that may I practice the stages of Vajra Yogini's path. I bow down and take refuge in the Gurus and the three precious jewels. Please bless my mind. Okay, so there are some errors in this Sadhana. If you have the long Vajra Yogini Sadhana, edited 2009, there are errors. Always with the production of Sadhanas and things, there's always corrections to be made. So we finished the Yoga 6, the creation of self-deity. That was in the last session. I did the review from the point of view of the Sadhana. And these are, to some extent, it is the standard commentary, but then also my suggestions as a Western practitioner. So we're now at we finished yoga number 7 also, which is purifying beings. And I talked a lot about bodhicitta. For me, we are Westerners and we're educated. I remember in 1970, the very first time the Tibetan Library opened, Geshe Nawan Dargay was a teacher and a great teacher. Most of my ability to teach with all of the information I have comes from Geshe Nawan Dargay, very precious Lama. And of course, Geshe Rapton was also one of my teachers. And then also Geshe Thupten Loden in Australia. So I had more than 7 years worth of instruction. And although I didn't get any certificate of being qualified, and I'm not a Geshe, I wouldn't claim that, but I am quite well educated in the basic path. Then in 1978 and 79, I did 2 years of preliminary practices. And then actually during the first 7 years, I did do short retreats of Yamantaka, and I did my 100,000 prostrations, and then I did another 50,000 prostrations in front of the stupa in Buddha Gaya, and the Guru Yoga, mandala offerings, all these. But when it came to 1978, and Lingam Poche gave me permission to do the Yamantaka retreat, what's called the Great Retreat. With that permission, then he said, I'd like you to do all your practices again. Now, I had done 150,000 prostrations, so that was okay. But I had to redo Vajrasattva, Guru Yoga, and then there's 9 preliminaries when you do a great retreat, if you do the extensive preliminary part. And of course, I was a monk during that time, so of course I had that luxury, and I was living in India, which also was a great luxury. So you have refuge, prostrations, Vajra mandala, guru yoga, then Dorji Kadra or Vajra Daka, that's a little fire ritual you do, doing satsas. Then you have a Samya Vajra or Samya Dorji, Samya Vajra, or Temsik Dorji is a Tibetan. That's a sort of guru yoga purification. And the last one was water bowls. That was the only one I didn't do because it just was too much. But the Tibetans would sort of have a sneaky way to do it. You get, a board and you glue on whatever, eight water bowls. And then you get to, well, let's say they would be at the side of a river where there was a bit of a thing. They'd bring a pipe over so the water would pour. And then they would take their thing and they'd go like, fill up the 8 bowls, dump it out, and it goes, as they said, prayers. And that way they would do their 100,000 water bowl offerings. And for example, with the satsas, you could, of course, do them in clay, but you can also do them in paper. So I was in Dharamsala, so I went to a place that sold paper, like in big packages. And so I made long strips that were, maybe 2 inches or 3 inches wide and however long, like a meter long or a yard long. And then I had a rubber stamp of Tsongkhapa, and I had 2 rollers, one with ink and then one with the dry. So I would do one ink, and then I put the paper at the start and I go tuk, 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 tuk. And then each paper had 10 Tsongkhapa images on it. And then I do another one. And during all that time, of course, you're reciting the Migsema, the 5-line prayer to Tsongkhapa. So anyway, did all of that. And then finally in 1980 in September, I started the first portion of the Great Retreat. It took 2 years. You had to do 15 million mantras and such. And I share this just because maybe some of you really aspire to do a long retreat, although it's much easier if you're a monk or nun, I guess, but if not, even lay people can do it. And in the Gelupa, we do big retreats. Sometimes the Gelupa gets criticized as being sort of overly intellectual, but I can say definitely like Geshe Rapton, who is a Larampa Geshe, one of the last ones out of Tibet and stuff, top of the class. He didn't just go to the monastery and become a teacher for all the students, which many Geshes do. He went into retreat, and I arrived there in 1970. He just finished a 3-year retreat of Yamantaka, or whatever, a great retreat of Yamantaka. And other things. He was very, very deep in meditation. And all of his students, which included Lama Thupten Yeshe, the main teacher that I first had met, were all meditators. They weren't back in the monastery, even though they all were Geshes. They weren't Larampa, but they were all Geshes. All had been, certified and graduated, but they all went into retreat on the mountain. So there's Geshe Tampawandu, Geshe Pemba, Geshe Thupten, all of these. And so there's this whole group of Gelupa Geshes all doing extensive retreats. So, again, if you ever hear that, the Gelupa doesn't have retreatants, they do. Anyway, so then I started that, and I was very lucky. Geshe Champawangdu had a hut on the mountain at about 8,000 feet up above Dharamsala, up above McLeod Ganj. And it was where all the other meditators lived. They sort of were in a group, like on a shoulder of the mountain. And so I got a hut, which was a perfect one. It was a little itty bitty hut. I mean, maybe it was, I think, 3 meters by 2 meters. It had a little courtyard that was all built up with a wall around it. It was very nice, and a little slate roof with lots of holes in it so the wind and the rain would blow through. Anyway, I often joke that it was no better than a doghouse. In fact, even maybe less better than a doghouse nowadays. Anyway, so I stayed there 2 years and did all my practices, did all the mantras required. And then there was a monk that lived further up the mountain. And but it lived just below Triond, which is at about 10,000 feet. So this was sort of a cave at 9,000 feet. And I was only like 32, so very idealistic still, yes, enlightenment is close. So and he couldn't stay in the wintertime because it snowed. I mean, this is way up in the Himalayas. And so I could, because I had a little bit more money, and I could get canned food, get food in these big tins. And so I traded with him. He went to my hut and I went up to his little cave thing, which was quite actually nice. And I made it a little bit better with an insulated roof and stuff. But it was like 2 meters by 2 meters and such. And then outside, there's a little bit of an open area where I could sit if I wanted to. Anyway, and so then I did another 1.5 years there, doing the other practices of a great retreat. So I'm just sharing that main point is in Gelupa, we do have great practitioners and with great realizations, and not myself, but the teachers I had were of that caliber, which is very good. So we got yoga number 8, the yoga of the hero and heroine blessing. Okay, now remember, Dharmakaya is your personal liberation. It's where you are completely free. It's your most subtle mind. It only has an aspect of being clear light. So we gave the example of being at 30,000 feet. You know, it's not like you're viewing 30,000 feet. You are the space of the sky at 30,000 feet. And I merely share that because it gives you a true sense of spaciousness. I remember one Tibetan Lama once saying that the primary cause of sentient beings not being able to stay in the Dharmakaya or such, you know, with any realization is fear. That when they die, of course, they're anxious because they don't have much of a spiritual practice, possibly. Okay, so they die, and when they go into the bardo, they're very uncomfortable because they have no familiarity with that sense of spaciousness and such. And so they just look for the fastest rebirth they can get. And so that's the factor of not having familiarity. So the meditations first of Dharmakaya, that you have no form, but you're a very subtle state of consciousness, and you can try to rest in that, is quite important. That you're not fearful when you suddenly have this sense of spaciousness. and I think if suddenly you were, you know, at 30,000 feet, you'd sort of think I'm going to fall or something. So, you know, so it's good to try to just sort of say, I am open spaciousness of the sky. So that's your personal liberation. Then any movement from that, which is just that consciousness becomes coarser. And as consciousness becomes coarser, the karmic seeds of your previous rebirth start to manifest, and they create the form that you would have, the type of rebirth you're going to get. And it magnetizes you to the type of parents you'll be attracted to. So if you're very virtuous, you tend to be attracted to virtuous parents. If you were violent and aggressive, chances are you get attracted to violent and aggressive parents, just the magnetism of the type of karma you've accumulated. So what's very special in Tantra is you very deeply feel that I'm for the nature of benefit. I'm arising from compassion. And that way you completely change your karma. You try. And again, the more you're able to truly, let's say, generate those feelings of compassion and such, which would be a stronger expression of your karma, not just intention, that then you will have more control. So it's your bardo, but remember, your bardo is created by your bodhicitta. You come out of the void, out of the Dharmakaya. You come out only because you have great compassion, spontaneous compassion for the benefit of all sentient beings. And again, that's too subtle. So again, then you again manifest as Vajra or whatever deity you care to identify with, and then such. So that's where we arrived at for yoga number 6. Yoga number 7, I just emphasize that it's really important, as I say, now that you've arisen, you are nothing but bodhicitta. You know, that may I be from the depths of my heart a benefit to sentient beings. You know, of course, with intelligence, but may I be a benefit? Okay, so that's yoga number 7. And then yoga number 8 now then is the yoga of hero and heroine blessing, which also includes the body mandala. Now, again, there will be extensive teachings on this in the evening time in about 3 days, I guess, is how long we'll take to get to it. So basically this, you know, it says that, okay, this to give you a sense of dimension or size. Okay, that you as the big Vajrayogini, you should feel that the reality source, the double stack reality source, is around your central channel in the middle of your chest at the level of your heart. Okay, but it's actually quite tiny because the moon cushion inside of that has to be inside the central channel with the 32 syllables and then the bum syllable in the center. So if you think of it like a microscope, so, you know, like you're the big Vajrayogini, you turn a microscope to your heart chakra, and then suddenly you have this very tiny little, you know, bum and the 32 syllables on a moon cushion, and supposedly inside the central channel. Then if you do the body mandala, the syllable bum turns the 4 parts of the bum turn into the 4 primary dakinis of the central part, which represent the 4 elements and such. We'll talk about that. And then the central crescent moon dot and squiggle turns into Vajra Yogini. So we're talking minuscule, but you're concentrated. You're saying, okay. And then in her heart is another little, double stack reality source with a moon cushion and then the mantra and the syllable bum. So now you're down to microscope like thing, but it's really, I don't know, if you allow yourself to say, okay, don't be concerned about it, just okay, let me do it. You have this very interesting experiences of very profound concentration, going deep into your heart and such. And so anyway, there'll be extensive commentary when we get to this section, but then that's the just the scale. What I sometimes do to try to get a sensation of scale is, for example, right now you're in a room, like right now I'm in this meditation room. Then I say, for example, this is the chest cavity of Vajra Yogini. So if I look up, I can see her head, and if I look to the left and right, I see her left and right arm. I look down, I can see her hollow stomach going into her hollow legs, and I'm floating in that. Okay, and so you get these, you create these sensations of being inside of something. And so this room is the chest cavity of Vajra Yogini, and then I can go to the reality source inside of that. And if I did the body mandala, then I have another little Vajra Yogini, and then I feel I'm inside of that chest cavity, and then I'm inside of that dharma sword, the double stack dharmani, and then I'm on the moon cushion. And so these dimensions, we may be all familiar that the Buddha can generate the whole of the Mount Meru and the 4 continents on the tip of his finger. Another example the Tibetan Lama once said is, if you had a little hole in the wall, but on the other side was a very big room with many people, although you're looking in a very small hole, you can see this huge group there. So I leave it up to you to play with your own, sense of consciousness. But the objective of this incredibly finite visualization is that you start entering into your central channel and your heart chakra and such, and you start to be able to open it up. The only thing is that if you try it too hard, you can get lung, which is just sort of like an energy imbalance. And you get headaches, you get pain in your chest and stuff. So it's important that you balance your practice with your sense of health. It's not good. You just sort of decide to do it. Anyway, so then it just says, now, again, with the body mandala, I mentioned this in the time of the initiation, that I was really intrigued with, when you take the Heruka, the big Heruka mandala, the big Heruka practice, where you have all of these deities around, like one in your teeth, one on your forehead, and your eyes and your ears, and various parts of your body. And there's these veins that all come from your heart and arrive at these different positions. And then for my interest, I looked at the development of a fetus. And so at the 6-week mark, the fetus starts having a heartbeat. And then from that point on comes the form of the fetus, which then turns into the baby with the 10 fingers and 10 toes, all of the factors. Well, that's the growth and expansion from the heart chakra of these vein channels that then become, that was in the Tantra to be the 8 yoginis of the mind, 8 yoginis of the speech, 8 yoginis of the bodies, and the 8 of the doors. That's the 32 dakinis that are on the moon cushion. So when you think of that very teeny, the Vajra Yogini with the 32 yoginis of the body mandala in your heart, you can relate that to that's like the genetic strings, the DNA strings that will create all of who you are. Now, I don't know if that is actually important. The practice is sort of very clear, but I just, relating it to things that we now understand, because, you have to say that, way back when, the Tibetans or the Indians didn't have, surgical wards and all of the incredible things that we have nowadays to know all of the things. Anyway, so the point is that, so you have the big Vajra Yogini, inner heart's a double stack reality source. Then on top of that, then there's the, I believe it's a sun cushion with the Dakinis. And then in that central queen Dakini, then there's another reality source, but with a moon cushion, and then with the thing. So okay, moon seed. Okay, no, sorry, it is a moon seed and then a moon seed. I just make a small error there. So Vajra, the big one's on a sun cushion. In the heart, the body mandala is on a moon cushion. And then the mantra, which is entitled that, the central queen, is a moon cushion. So just to be clear. Okay, so you have identified all of those, you enumerated them, the 8 of the mind, 8 of the speech, 8 of the body, and 8 of the doors. The doors are, you know, your nostrils and the various holes in your body. Okay, and it's related to the syllables. Then the syllable PEM, and again, it'll be lots of detail on this. Your hands go like this, and again, there might be slight variations depending on your tantra or your lineage, but it's the 3, like your baby finger, your middle finger, your ring finger, and your next finger are spread. Your index fingers hook each other, and your thumbs touch, and that comes from your left hip, comes up, circles 3 to the right, 3 to the left, 3 in the center, and then PEM, and you break it at that point, and it comes down to your right hip. Okay, so that's like you go up, and the commentary is that you should say it loud enough that if it's a bird was on a tree outside, it'll get scared and fly away. Okay, so anyway, so then you do the mudra. So up, 3 left, 3 right, center, and PEM, and you come down to your left hip. Okay, from the heart center, bum radiates light rays that emit from my mid-brow and spread out into 10 directions. So the Buddhas, heroes, and Yoginis are the thing. And then the mantra or the mudras would be ja. Okay, right hand palm down, left hand palm up, ja. You just flip them, hum, touch them together, bam, ho. Okay, they come above you, they start settling down, they mix, and you're one with all of the invocation of the wisdom heroes. Now, the big thing with wisdom heroes, it's the mind of all your gurus. You know, and also you can think all of the Daka Dakinis. But what you really want to do is that when you do PEM and you come down here, you should think that, you know, Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa, all of the gurus that you've ever had, they just woke up and be, oh, so-and-so, my student, so-and-so is meditating. And then you do the hooking mudra. So you do the hook and you ja, hum, bam, ho. Okay, with that, then they all come above you, they start to sink down, they merge with you, and they're one with you. Again, it's a strong affirmation that your gurus love you. They want you to have realization. They're not timid and shy or afraid of who you are or whatever. They totally would wish to support you. So that's the wisdom beings, is all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Daka Dakinis of the 10 directions, but you should more specifically think that it's the mind of your gurus become aware of you and they enter into you. And so you go ja hum bam ho. And then now in the commentaries, you know, and then so the commentary says lotus roll left, lotus roll right, lotus roll center. It's om yoga shudo sarva dharma yoga. And I mean, to be, I don't know, I like to be graceful. So this is a Jampa commentary. I'm not saying it's the thing. I like to do what the Hawaiian girls do, the hula hula. So om yoga shudo sarva dharma yoga shudo hum. And I just feel it's more graceful, you know. So that may be in contradiction to what some of your other lamas have said. I just feel that it's, you know, to make it beautiful. It's like, I am the reality, or sort of be, it's a whole thing. So I am the reality of the yoga of the perfection of all things. It's very meaningful. Om yoga shudo sarva dharma yoga shudo hum. So would it be, so you go ja hum bam ho, o yoga shudo sarva dharma yoga shudo hum. And you feel that you are a invigorated Vajrayogini. I am the reality of the yoga of the perfection of all things. Again, remember, I'm just reviewing the sadhana, you know, really lightly. In the evening times, we'll do the detail. Okay, then you don armor. I received this initiation privately from Trichang Rinpoche and some commentary from him in his little room in Dharamsala. And he said, between the skin and the muscles that are underneath it, you put these discs. So Om Bum, Prim Mum, or Om Bum, Hum Yum, Prim Mum, Hrim Hrim, Hum Hum, Pei Pei. Okay, so they're basically, and they covered, I will post in the chat, and also Andrew, who is the coordinator for all of this, thank you very much to Andrew for all of his work to be the technical support, that he will post something which gives you a little image of that. So although, let's say in your stomach, you have Om Bum or Om Bum, okay, you feel that there's a band of red light that covers that part of your body, sort of like a glove or like a sock. And then you do Hum Yum, and you feel that then there's the, what is it, the sorry, blue is like a band around you. And then the throat is then the yellow, and around the face and forehead green, and the top is the, or say that's the yellow, sorry, and the green is the top, the crown. You know, a lot of material. When you read the Sadhana, it's easy. So when you're teaching, it's harder. So that's your armor. So that protects you from negative energy getting inside your body. Okay, and you feel that those are the Dakinis that protect you. Again, more commentary at nighttime. And my heart bomb radiates light rays, invite the consecration deity as the glorious glorious Lord and chakras of mandala. All the transcendental lords, please openly confer initiation, having thus been prayed. The 8 guardians of the doors and corners scare away demons. The heroes recite auspicious verses. The heroines sing Vajra songs, Rupa Vajra, and the make offerings. This is exactly like the initiation, if you can remember it. It is posted on the YouTube channel. That basically an umbrella, parasol above you, banners to your left and right side, Daka Dakinis dance around you, giving you all of the giving flowers and saffron on you, and then the 4 primary Dakinis of the Haruka chakras of our mandala come out, and above you they all usually have vases, and they pour nectar and it washes through you, and you feel great bliss. And Geshe Darge said that why you receive the initiation is, one, because of faith in the lineage and the teaching, but the other side, some trouble with the sound.
Oh no, I cannot say that yet.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm not sure. There's a technical problem. Anyway, I'm not sure. Maybe close the other programs.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Okay, so it feels, it washes your body. What you should feel when you receive the nectar of initiation, that your visualization becomes vivid. It sort of gets like it's a refresh of the image. So that when you do receive it, Om Sarva Tathagata Abhishekata Samaya Shriye Hum, which is that just as the transcendental lords were anointed as soon as they were born, so do we now confer an ointment for this pure water of the gods. Om Sarva Tathagata Abhishekata. And I just feel, even though maybe your visualization is very patchy and not very good, you just think it's perfect. It's wonderful. That's very important. You know, the first point of a visualization is just believing in it, even if you don't have any vision. You know, if you think about, and let's say the easy one is, let's say you know, you think, oh, I want some chocolate cake, and your mouth starts to water. Well, you might say you invoked chocolate cake and your body started to respond. If maybe, you know, you were able to slow down, you might actually even have the image of the most recently beautiful decorated piece of chocolate cake arise in your mind. It's because you believed in the chocolate cake and you had a lot of feeling about the chocolate cake, so the imagery arises. Or if we quote the 6th Dalai Lama, he said, I've been told repeatedly to visualize to see the smiling face of my guru, but the problem is the maiden from last night at the bar, her face appears so beautifully. You know, he was never a monk, so he used to go to escape the potala and go down and hang out in the various bars or pubs or cantinas of Lhasa. So he says, the face of my guru is so hard, the face of the barmaid last night so vivid. Okay, so why? Lots of feeling. Okay, that's my point. Okay, so and actually the sixth Dalai Lama, I think Glenn Mullen translated his poems, I believe, and they're very, very, we would say, romantic and colorful. And he became, you could say, the rock star of Tibet, because, you know, he wrote these poems, and then the Tibetans got hold of them. I guess somebody published it illegally or something, and the Tibetans started singing them all the time. So he became quite famous. So pronouncing, they confer the initiation of my entire body, all stains are purified, the overflow nectar on the crown of my head transforms the Vairochana Heruka, father, mother. Okay, so on your crown is Vajrayogini. It is the Heruka, Vairochana that appears. Oh, and it said, although the lord of the family is Akshobhya, it is Vairochana that crowns you. And there will be, I'll give you a commentary in the evening about why that is, maybe in 3 or 4 nights. Now, I attended a neuroscience and neurological science workshop for 4 classes back, about 2 months ago. And it was really interesting because this scientist, this professor, explained how your brain works and how to create bigger impacts on your brain and what they've done. So for example, if prior to listening to this, you had a glass of water, your brain is 15% more active than it would be if you hadn't drank water before this talk. So first off, just that every time you start your sadhana, have a glass of water, because your brain will be more clear and functioning. And that's again, coming from neuroscience. Then the next thing they said was that if you want to remember something, you should try to include more senses. Okay, so I'm listening to that as a tantric practitioner. I mean, I was interested in the material, but I was really interested in how could I improve my tantric practice. Okay, and I maybe I'll come up with some other points, but what they then said, they said that if you want to make a memory really strong in your mind, like create a lot of neural pathways which are connected with a particular thought, include more. So let's say include what was visually happening, include the sound, include the smell, include the taste, include the sensations of your body. So, whatever happened to be the object that you wanted to enhance. Okay, so right now, you've just become Vajrayogini. You're standing in ecstasy inside of your double stack reality sources, the 4 bliss worlds on top of you. I mean, there's a visual thing there, so you try to do that. Now, I'm sure almost all of us, Om Aragam Pratisa Om So Om Bhajam Pratisa Om So Om Vajrabhuspe Om So. How fast? Okay. So maybe you can say water for my mouth, blissful. Water for my feet, yes. Flowers, incense, light, perfume, food, music. Okay. Where is any imprint being generated? It's like flash, 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 flash. So if I look at neuroscience, and then I look at the sadhana coming from 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago, it doesn't really matter. They were trying to help you have a bigger imprint on your mind. But we got into speed, doing it fast. So, again, I mean, if you spend a lot of time on your sadhana, it's really great. Sometimes we don't have so much time, so do a short sadhana, but maybe try to increase it. So, Om Aragam Pratitsa Om Soha, or Om Aragam Pratitsa Soha. Okay, so when you do that, water for the mouth. And so you should say, my mouth becomes blissful. I Vajrayogini, who am bodhicitta, manifests for the benefit of all sentient beings, with all of my divine qualities as Vajrayogini. A mouth is thing, Aragam. My feet are blissful. Okay, there's senses, you're expanding your sensual experience of being Vajrayogini. Flowers for your eyes, incense for your nose, light for your eyes, perfume for your chest, food for your mouth, cloth for, the shapta for your ears, sorry. Then there is the five form offerings too. But the thing is, okay, let yourself feel the bliss. I am Vajrayogini. I've got this identification. I have some image in my mind. And so now, looking at neuroscience, okay, have a glass of water before you do it. Okay, that's not so important, but then really and the other thing is, from your heart comes the offering, gods and goddesses. Okay, and then when you make the offering, they all come back in. That says that's opening your heart chakra. So you do the mudra, and again, we'll do mudras later, but okay, you start the mudra, you're sending the gods and goddesses out. You do a lotus roll, and then you say, water for the mouth, and then you send them all back in your heart. But again, how fast, it's so fast. It's Om Aragam Pratisa Soha. Om Ba. Okay, see what I mean? So instead, like say, okay, sending goddesses and gods out, they're really going out pretty fast. Okay, they're all around me. And then they're going to make the offer of water for my mouth. And then they all absorb back into my heart. Okay, and then Om Padyam, water for my feet. And a lot of them come out and they wash water all over my feet. Pratisa Om Soha. And so all I'm trying to say is that I was like impressed that in a Tantra Sadhana coming from more than 1,000 years ago, they were trying to make a bigger imprint on your consciousness with the 8 offerings. And it only took, obviously you did the practice in faith, you would have gotten the benefit, but even more so now that we have some knowledge that, okay, it really does create more pathways in your brain and does create greater imprint. And so you do have a better association, identification with Vajragini. And of course, why? Because she's meaningful. It's not just Vajragini as, voluptuous or a perky little 16-year-old girl with long black hair. That's nice, but it's not Vajragini. Vajragini is Nirmanakaya for the benefit of sentient beings with wisdom and compassion. Her Vajra and her or the Vajra in a skull cup is method and wisdom. So all of it, it's you're baptizing yourself with all the meaning of what Vajragini is, and you're increasing the whole experience with water for your mouth, water for your feet, flowers, incense, light, food, music, like that. Okay, and then there is actually the 5 sense things. Vajra Artishe is a mirror, Vajra Bindi is music, Vajra Gende is perfume, Vajra Rasa is food, Vajra Parse is clothes, and Vajra Dharma is reality. And the mantras, the mudras will be taught later, so that's fine. And then you do the inner offering, Om 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 Sarva Buddha Dakini Om Om. And when you do that, again, you generate very blissful feeling. So it says, with your left hand, you touch the thing, Om 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 Sarva Buddha Dakini Virajani Om Bebezo Om Om. And the commentary I read just said it's the male and female energies, the Heruka and Vajragini touching. So there's a spark. A more private commentary is actually it's the genitals of Heruka Vajragini they touch, but it's not. It's like the bliss of that. And so if you've got sort of a very rigid mind about sexuality, maybe it's, or you think, oh, that's not so nice. But what you're really doing is like the bliss. And again, you have to think about things. It's not like some jock and some other girl are getting together. This is a Buddha with another Buddha. And so there's really incredibly good energy. So you might upgrade your whole appreciation of sexuality with that. And I thought about it in terms of, for myself, for example, if I'm Heruka Chakra Samvara and then I'm in union with Vajrayogini, it's not like Jampa is in union with Vajrayogini. This is an enlightened lady. How would I feel and relate to that? It's interesting. It's good to challenge yourself and to think through things a little bit. So if you were to be like, okay, I am, in this case, let's say if it's a male, I am Heruka Chakra Samvara and I'm in union with Vajrayogini, and Vajrayogini is just an enlightened lady. How would I feel about that? So let me sort of look for that. It's not like just me looking for some physical contact. No, I'm in touch with something that's full of bodhicitta, full of wisdom, great insights, capacity. Wow, that's a blessing to my whole being. And then if you think about it, you might actually then look for a more enlightened partner in your life. Somebody that has some bodhicitta or something, because you've been doing that identification. I'm sorry, I'm a little off topic, but I think these things are important. After a long period of practice, you start going, this Tantra is really profound. All tantras are profound, especially the highest yoga. But some of these things are really profound. And so it's important to go and put some effort and energy into them. Anyway, so then you did the receiving of the nectar, then again, this is just, remember, I'm doing a brief sort of overview, which is getting a bit elaborate, but when we come, if you just watch these morning and afternoon sessions, you'll get the sadhana. If you watch the evening sessions, you'll get the really detail. Okay, so then I, Vajra Yogini, unite with Katbanga and turn into chakras of Vajra, the ecstatic bliss, void wisdom. And then you can be either the male or the female side. I think that a lot of the Tantra, if you look at it, it's all male oriented. If you do the Lama Chopra or something, it's all Dakinis singing or playing and dancing for the gurus. It's sort of male oriented for female, with females doing it, where it's important. And Lama Yeshe stressed that he says, women and men equally have the power and ability to generate bliss and void. So although the sadhanas may have been written more for men, we really should try to equalize that. And so, if you are a woman and you're doing Vajra Yogini, great. The Kadvanga came down and became union, it became Heruka Chakras and Vajra. And then as a woman think, whoa, I've got an enlightened man embracing me. How do I feel about that? What's that going to mean to me? Or for a man, if you do the second part, which is called the elaborate part, the father, and turn into the father and stuff like that, then again, you say, okay, I became Heruka because I'm more comfortable with that side. Okay, and then I'm in union with Vajra Yogini. So what is it like for me to think that I'm in union with an enlightened lady when it has perfect wisdom, perfect compassion, empathy, all of the qualities of a Buddha? So I think that the Tantra, if you do slow it down, can be really transformative for you, not just sort of a quick roar through the sadhana, say a lot of mantras and think, oh yeah, I just bless myself. These sadhanas are very special. Okay, anyway, that's then from having done that, then you have the four ascending blisses. Again, that'll be all talked about when we do the long sadhana. And then thus I delight the Buddhas of the secret and the ultimate offering, because the wisdom offering, which is the bliss of being in union, is always tied together with the voidness. And like I described earlier, anytime you have a blissful feeling, try to just remember some component of wisdom. So you move your mind more and more that when you're blissful, you're more in harmony with reality. So everything is impermanent. Or, when I'm blissful, continuity of causes and circumstances. Or when I'm blissful, I'm in a vast ocean of interdependence. And so one thing good for that, again, is like I'm immersed in an ocean of atmosphere. Just move your hands and you can feel the atmosphere around you. You're like a fish in water, but we're always on the ground. So we're bottom feeders. We're little crabs and things that run around in the bottom of the ocean. It's a joke. But the thing is, having that, then you say, okay, I'm immersed, and not only that, take a breath, I'm penetrated. I'm in the ocean of interdependence. I'm bodhicitta, may I be of benefit. And then the bliss. Okay, so bliss with impermanence or constant change, bliss with the continuity of causes and circumstances, bliss with interdependence, and then wide open bliss, open like the space of the sky. Those are the types of wisdoms that you can start to generate with bliss. Then there's the 8-line praise to Vajra Yogini, and I'm going to stop here because there's a lot of meaning in that. That was a long class. Okay, so that concludes the up to where I want to stop today, because it's 1:45. I'd like us to meditate a little bit now. We could we'll save questions for this evening. So this evening I'll talk for about an hour and a half. And then having done that, then we'll open it for questions. So if you have questions, just scribble them down and save them for this evening's class, if you're participating. Okay, so let's meditate. If you have the sadhana in front of you, go back to where we started with the the blessing of the channels and nerves. It's the 8th yoga, the yoga of the heroes and heroines blessing. Think a little bit about big Vajra Yogini, reality sources, moon cushion, 37 little Dakinis, and then the queen of the 37 little ones, another Dharma stack reality source, to try to get your consciousness to exercise in and that refinement. That's one thing you could do. Then you could think a little bit about, that I generated myself, I've got consecrated. So when I got consecrated, the whole of my visualization was so much more vivid. Actually, prior to that was the invocation of the wisdom beings. Wow, Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa, all these gurus, they came one with my mind. They're supportive of me as much as I can have faith and stability in my feelings. Then they have a foundation to work on me. If I don't have any faith, there's no foundation. So like that. So, and then of course the consecration. So feeling that Haruka Vajra, Yogini, they pour nectar all over you, and your whole visualization becomes super vivid, like wide awake and alive. And then the 8 offerings. So maybe spend some time thinking, okay, coming out of my heart, there's all these little Daka Dakinis, and they may make my mouth very blissful. They make my feet blissful. They make my eyes blissful. They make my nose blissful. They make my eyes blissful. That's light. They make sound. It's my ears. Oh, no, that's the end. I'm sorry. Perfume for my chest, food for my mouth, and then music for my ears. So it's the 8 offerings. Again, if you remember the 8 sense doors, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, then there's those ones. And then there's Dharma Dhatu, which is the mind offering. Those are the final 6 for the 6 senses. Anyway, if you're familiar with the Sadhana, you know what I'm talking about. If not, remember it takes 2 or 3 years to get this all down. So anyway, I just reviewed sort of what you can meditate on a little bit. If nothing else, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, just do breathing meditation. And bring your awareness back to your breathing. We'll close this session with a dedication prayer. Again, the thoughts and feelings are the most important. Some of my effort, possibly attending this morning, attending this afternoon, all the effort that it took, I dedicate that towards a more enlightened life, becoming completely enlightened. And I offer all the qualities of that enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. This evening, I posted something on the chat. It was the meaning of the mantra for Vajra. It'll also be mailed out to all of you that are registered. And so if you can access it now and print it, that'd be good for this evening's class. Or if you want, then it'll possibly come as an email to you a little later, whatever. And if not, then later again, some point we'll get it to you. It's very meaningful because although the Vajra mantra is wonderful in Sanskrit, it actually has a beautiful, sweet meaning in English. And so we're going to cover that. And you'll appreciate when we do it. So I look forward to seeing you this evening. That's at 6 to 8:30 or so for us here in England, and for whatever time it is in whatever area you were in personally. Thank you very much. Take good care. Goodbye. Oh, yeah, goodbye. Tonight we'll have questions, so write your questions down.